Ilara wasn't just a singer, she was a weaver of melodies, a painter of emotions with her voice. Her wagon, a cozy little home on wheels, was pulled by a gentle giant of a horse named Barnaby. Barnaby's hooves made a soft, steady asterisk thump-thump on the dusty roads as they traveled from town to town. Inside, the wagon was filled with colorful blankets, dried herbs that smelled like sunshine, and of course, Ilara's lute. But it was Ilara's voice that truly set her apart. It wasn't just pretty, it was powerful. Sometimes it was like a bubbling brook, light and cheerful. Other times it was like the wind whistling through the mountains, strong and a little bit lonely. Her voice had a special asterisk timbre asterisk, a quality that made it instantly recognizable, like a fingerprint made of sound. Today her song was a sad one. She was remembering her grandmother who taught her all the old songs. The melody drifted out of the wagon, a haunting tune that spoke of loss and longing. The asterisk sound echoed through the trees, carried on the breeze. It wasn't a song meant for an audience, just a quiet conversation with the wind. She often sang about nature. The rustling of leaves became a lively dance in her songs, the chirping of crickets turned into a chorus of tiny voices, and the hooting of an owl became a wise and mysterious call. She could mimic the asterisk sound of a raindrop falling on a leaf, or the rumble of distant thunder, all with her voice. As she sang, she absent-mindedly polished her lute. The wood gleamed in the afternoon sun, reflecting the colors of the passing fields. Barnaby flicked his tail, his ears twitching to the rhythm of the music. He seemed to understand the emotions in her songs, offering a soft asterisk neigh of comfort during the sadder parts. Ilara believed that music had power. It could heal, it could inspire, and it could connect people. She hoped that her songs brought a little bit of joy, or at least a moment of peace, to everyone who heard them. She never knew who was listening or how her music might affect them. She just sang, pouring her heart and soul into every note. The asterisk sound asterisk of her voice, pure and clear, was her gift to the world. And today, that gift was about to be needed more than she could ever imagine. Meanwhile, not far from Ilara and Barnaby, a wagon train was in trouble. They had been traveling for weeks, heading west in search of a new home. But now a thick, swirling fog had descended, swallowing the world around them. The fog was so dense they couldn't see the wagon in front of them. Panic began to set in. Little Timmy started to cry, his sobs echoing in the damp air. His mother, Sarah, tried to comfort him, but her voice trembled with fear. "It's all right, Timmy, it's all right," she whispered, but she wasn't sure she believed it herself. Old Mr. Abernathy, who had led the wagon train for many years, tried to keep everyone calm, but even his voice, usually strong and reassuring, sounded strained. "Stay close, everyone. Keep your lanterns lit," he called out, but the lanterns only seemed to make the fog look even thicker. The asterisk creak of the wagon wheels and the asterisk jingle of the horses' harnesses were the only sounds besides the children's cries and the adults' worried whispers. The rhythm of the horses' hooves, once steady and confident, had slowed to a hesitant shuffle. They were as lost and confused as the people they carried. The fog seemed to play tricks on their ears. They thought they heard voices, but they were just echoes in the mist. They thought they saw lights, but they were just reflections of their own lanterns. The world had become a confusing, disorienting place. Margaret, a young woman traveling with her family, shivered and pulled her shawl tighter around her. She could feel the fear radiating from everyone around her. She closed her eyes and prayed for guidance, for a sign, for anything to lead them out of this terrifying fog. The asterisk sound of a baby's wail pierced the air, followed by the frantic shushing of its mother. A horse asterisk whinnied nervously, sensing the fear and uncertainty of its driver. The asterisk creak, creak, creak of the wagon seemed to mock their slow, aimless progress. They were completely and utterly lost, and the fog showed no signs of lifting. Little did they know their salvation was just a song away. Ilara had made camp for the night in a small clearing, a safe distance from the road. She had just finished her simple supper of bread and cheese when she heard it, the faint, muffled asterisk sound asterisk of distress. At first she thought it was just the wind playing tricks on her ears, But then she heard it again, a baby crying, followed by the anxious murmur of voices. She frowned. Someone was in trouble. Her first instinct was to ignore it. Helping strangers could be dangerous. She was just one person, and who knew what kind of trouble they were in? Maybe they were bandits, pretending to be lost to lure unsuspecting travelers like her. The asterisk sound of her own heartbeat seemed louder in the quiet of the night. She sat frozen for a moment, listening intently. The cries were getting more frequent, the whispers more frantic. She could hear the distinct asterisk creak of wagon wheels and the snorts asterisk of frightened horses. It was definitely a wagon train, and they were definitely lost and scared. A battle raged within her. Self-preservation versus compassion. The asterisk sound of the wind rustling through the leaves seemed to whisper warnings, reminding her to be careful. But then she heard a child's desperate plea, a small voice calling out for help. Alara closed her eyes, her heart aching. She knew what it was like to be alone and afraid. She remembered the kindness of strangers who had helped her when she was younger, when her own family had faced hardship. She couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Taking a deep breath, she made her decision. She grabbed her lute and slung it over her shoulder. Barnaby looked at her with knowing eyes, sensing her resolve. "All right, boy," she said softly, patting his neck. "Let's see if we can lend a hand." But how? She couldn't just wander blindly into the fog. She needed a plan. The asterisk sound of the wagon train's distress grew louder, urging her to act quickly. She knew what she had to do. She would use her voice, her gift, to guide them to safety. But what if it was a trap? What if she was leading herself into danger? The fear was still there, but it was overshadowed by a stronger feeling. The need to help. Alara took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and began to sing. She chose a melody that was both familiar and hopeful, a simple folk tune that her grandmother had taught her. It was a song about finding your way home, about the light that guides you through the darkness. Her voice, clear and strong, rose above the sounds of the night. It cut through the fog like a beacon, a single thread of hope in a sea of despair. She sang of open fields, of starry skies, of the warmth of a welcoming hearth. She poured all her courage, all her hope into every note. At first, the asterisk sound asterisk was faint, barely audible above the asterisk creaking of the wagons and the cries asterisk of the children. But as Alara continued to sing, her voice grew stronger, more confident. The melody became a lifeline, a promise of safety and warmth. The asterisk sound of her lute joined her voice, adding a layer of richness and depth to the music. The strings asterisk vibrated with emotion, echoing the longing in her heart. The melody was simple, but it was filled with power. It was a song that spoke to the soul. She sang not just with her voice, but with her entire being. She sang for the lost children, for the worried parents, for the weary horses. She sang for anyone who had ever felt lost and alone. She sang for hope, for courage, for the power of kindness. The fog seemed to listen, the wind seemed to carry her voice further. The asterisk sound asterisk of her singing filled the night, a comforting presence in the darkness. She kept her eyes closed, focusing on the music, on the feeling that she was doing the right thing. She knew that her song was a risk. It could attract unwanted attention, it could lead her into danger. But she couldn't silence her voice, not when she knew that others were depending on it. She would sing until her voice gave out, until she had guided them to safety. The asterisk sound of her song was her offering, her act of faith, her way of saying, "You are not alone." And she prayed that it would be enough. In the wagon train, Sarah, Timmy's mother, was the first to hear it. A faint, sweet melody carried on the wind. At first, she thought it was just her imagination, another trick of the fog. But then she heard it again, clearer this time, a hopeful tune that tugged at her heart. She nudged Mr. Abernathy, who was slumped in his seat, his face etched with worry. "Listen," she whispered. "Do you hear that?" "Mr." Abernathy strained his ears. At first, he heard nothing but the asterisk creaking of the wagons and the whimpering of the children. But then, he heard it too, a delicate, ethereal melody that seemed to float on the fog. "It's music," he said, his voice filled with disbelief. "But where is it coming from?" Hope flickered in Margaret's heart. She had been praying for a sign, and this music felt like an answer to her prayers. She closed her eyes and listened intently, letting the sound asterisk wash over her. It was a song she had heard before, a simple folk tune that her mother used to sing to her when she was a child. The asterisk sound of the music had a calming effect on the wagon train. Timmy stopped crying, his attention caught by the sweet melody. The horses seemed to sense a change, their ears perking up as they listened to the asterisk sound asterisk. The asterisk creaking of the wagon seemed less ominous, the whispers of the adults less worried. Mr. Abernathy, his eyes filled with renewed determination, stood up straight in his wagon. "That music," he said, his voice regaining its strength. "It's our guide, we need to follow it." Slowly, cautiously, the wagon train began to move forward, drawn by the enchanting asterisk sound of Alara's song. The rhythm of the horses' hooves, once hesitant and uncertain, became more steady, more purposeful. They were still lost in the fog, but now they had a direction, a glimmer of hope to cling to. The melody was a lifeline, a promise of safety and warmth. They followed the asterisk sound, placing their trust in the unknown singer and her beautiful, guiding song. The fog still swirled around them, but now it felt less threatening, less oppressive. Alara's music had given them the courage to keep going, the hope that they would find their way out of the darkness. The wagon train moved slowly, cautiously, like a long, winding snake feeling its way through the darkness. The fog was still thick, but Alara's song was a guiding star, a constant reminder that they were not alone. The asterisk sound of the wagons was different now. It wasn't the asterisk creak, creak, creak of despair, but a more determined rumble asterisk, a asterisk thump-thump of hope. The horses seemed to respond to the music too. Their hooves made a softer asterisk clip-clop on the ground, as if they were trying not to disturb the melody. They asterisk snorted less frequently, their breaths coming in slow, steady puffs of air. They seemed to trust the music, to know that it was leading them to safety. Inside the wagons, the families listened intently, their faces turned towards the asterisk sound asterisk. The children were quiet, mesmerized by the music. The adults held their breath, praying that the song would continue, that it wouldn't fade away into the fog. The asterisk axles asterisk of the wagons groaned and asterisk squealed as they turned, a constant reminder of the effort it took to move forward. But even those asterisk sounds seemed to blend with the music, creating a strange, almost harmonious symphony. Alara's voice echoed through the fog, growing louder as they drew closer. The asterisk sound was so clear now, so strong, that it felt like she was right beside them, walking alongside the wagons, guiding them with her song. Mr. Abernathy, his eyes fixed on the direction of the music, urged the horses forward. "Slow and steady," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "We're almost there." Sarah held Timmy close, humming along to the melody. She could feel the hope rising within her, pushing back the fear. She knew that they were not out of the woods yet, but she also knew that they were closer to safety than they had been before. Margaret continued to pray, her heart filled with gratitude. She thanked the unknown singer for her kindness, for her courage, for her beautiful, guiding song. She knew that they would never forget this night, the night that a single voice saved them from the darkness. The asterisk sound asterisk of Alara's song was etched into their memories, a reminder of the power of hope, the strength of community, and the magic of music. And with each passing moment, the asterisk sound asterisk grew stronger, bringing them closer and closer to the light. Finally, as the first rays of dawn began to paint the sky with streaks of pink and gold, Alara's song led the wagon train to a clearing. The fog thinned, then vanished altogether, revealing a wide, grassy meadow bathed in the soft morning light. A collective asterisk gasp went through the wagon train as they emerged from the fog. They had made it. They were safe. The asterisk sound of their relief was overwhelming. Children shrieked with joy, running and playing in the grass. Adults laughed and cried, embracing each other in relief. Horses neighed asterisk happily, kicking up their heels in celebration. Mr. Abernathy, his face beaming, raised his hand to silence the crowd. "We have much to be thankful for," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "We were lost and now we are found, and we owe it all to the kindness of a stranger." He turned towards the direction of the music and bowed his head in gratitude. "Thank you," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "Well, thank you for saving us." One by one, the members of the wagon train followed his example, bowing their heads in thanks. Then, as if on cue, they began to cheer, their voices rising in a chorus of joy and gratitude. Ilara, who had been singing nonstop for hours, finally stopped, her voice hoarse but her heart full. She watched as the wagon train celebrated, her own eyes filled with tears. She had done it. She had guided them to safety. Sarah ran towards Ilara, Timmy clinging to her leg. "Thank you," she said, her voice trembling. "You saved our lives. We don't know how to repay you." Margaret joined her, her face radiant with gratitude. "Your music," she said, "it was like an angel's voice guiding us through the darkness." The other members of the wagon train gathered around Ilara, showering her with thanks and praise. They offered her food, water, and a place to rest. They wanted to show her how grateful they were for her kindness, her courage, and her beautiful, guiding song. The asterisk sound of their thankful words washed over her, a symphony of gratitude that warmed her soul. She was tired, but she had never felt so alive, so connected to others. She had used her gift to help those in need, and it had made all the difference. The clearing was filled with the sounds of joy, relief, and gratitude, a testament to the power of music, the strength of community, and the kindness of the human spirit. But their peace was not to last. A new asterisk sound asterisk, a more ominous asterisk sound asterisk was approaching. The ominous asterisk sound asterisk grew louder, the heavy asterisk thud of horses' hooves, the clinking asterisk of metal, the low asterisk growl of voices. They were coming from the east, from the direction the wagon train had been traveling. As the figures emerged from the trees, their faces grim and their eyes hard, a hush fell over the clearing. There were 5 of them, all dressed in dark clothing, their faces partially hidden by scarves. They rode large, powerful horses, and each carried a weapon, swords, axes, and even a crossbow. They looked like they meant business. The leader, a tall, imposing figure with a scar across his cheek, dismounted his horse and strode towards the wagon train. His boots thudded heavily on the ground, each step filled with menace. "Which one of you is the singer?" he demanded, his voice a low asterisk rumble that sent shivers down everyone's spines. Ilara stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew who these men were. They were the enforcers of the Silent Order, a group that controlled the nearby towns through fear and intimidation. They hated her songs because they spoke of freedom and hope, ideas that threatened their power. "I am," she said, her voice trembling but firm. "What do you want?" The leader sneered. "We've been looking for you, singer. Your songs have caused too much trouble. They've given people ideas, made them question our authority. That ends now." He drew his sword, the shing asterisk of metal slicing through the air. "You will come with us, and you will never sing again." Fear spread through the wagon train like wildfire. They had been through so much already, and now this. These men were dangerous, and they were after Ilara. But then, something unexpected happened. Mr. Abernathy stepped forward, placing himself between Ilara and the leader. "She is under our protection," he said, his voice surprisingly strong. "If you want her, you'll have to go through us." Sarah, Margaret, and the other members of the wagon train joined him, standing shoulder to shoulder, their faces filled with determination. They were farmers, shopkeepers, and families, not warriors. But they were united in their gratitude to Ilara, and they would not let these men take her without a fight. The asterisk sound of their resolve, a low asterisk murmur asterisk of defiance, filled the clearing. They knew they were outmatched, but they were ready to defend the woman who had saved them. The stakes were high, and the silence was broken only by the wind and the asterisk snorting of the horses. The leader of the Silent Order looked surprised, then amused. "You think you can stop us?" he scoffed. "You're just farmers and families. You don't stand a chance." But the members of the wagon train didn't back down. They remembered the fear they had felt in the fog, the helplessness, the despair. They remembered the asterisk sound asterisk of Alara's song, the hope that it had given them, the way it had guided them to safety. They knew that they owed her their lives, and they would not let these men take her away. Sarah stepped forward, holding Timmy tightly in her arms. "We may not be warriors," she said, her voice trembling but clear, "but we know what's right, and it's not right to silence someone for speaking the truth." Margaret nodded in agreement. "Your order brings only fear and darkness," she said. "Alara's songs bring hope and light. We choose hope." The others echoed their sentiments, their voices growing louder, more confident. "We stand with Alara," they shouted. "Leave her alone." The asterisk sound of their united voices, a chorus of defiance and determination, filled the clearing. It wasn't a battle cry, but it was powerful nonetheless. It was the asterisk sound of people standing up for what they believed in, the asterisk sound asterisk of community, the asterisk sound of hope. Alara watched in amazement, her heart swelling with gratitude. She had never seen such courage, such solidarity. These people who had been strangers just hours before were now willing to risk their lives to protect her. The leader of the Silent Order hesitated, his face a mask of anger and frustration. He had expected to intimidate these people, to scare them into submission. But he had underestimated their gratitude, their courage, and their sense of community. He glanced at his men, who were looking increasingly uneasy. They were outnumbered, and the members of the wagon train were clearly determined to defend Alara. He knew that a fight would be bloody, and that they might not win. The wind whistled through the trees, carrying the asterisk sound of the wagon train's defiance. The horses' asterisk shifted nervously, sensing the tension in the air. The asterisk sound of Timmy's soft breathing, a reminder of the innocence they were fighting to protect, seemed to amplify the silence. The air was thick with anticipation. The leader of the Silent Order stared at the determined faces of the wagon train members. The silence stretched, taut and heavy, broken only by the subtle asterisk sounds of nature. The wind rustled through the leaves of the trees, creating a whispering asterisk whoosh that seemed to amplify the tension. The horses' asterisk stamped their hooves nervously, their asterisk harnesses jingling softly. A hawk asterisk screeched overhead, its cry echoing through the clearing like a warning. The members of the wagon train stood their ground, their hearts pounding in their chests. They could hear the heavy breathing of the enforcers, the asterisk creak of their leather armor, the asterisk clink asterisk of their weapons. They were outnumbered and outmatched, but they refused to back down. Alara watched the standoff, her mind racing. She didn't want these people to get hurt because of her. She considered surrendering, but she knew that if she did, the Silent Order would silence her forever. Her songs were too important, too vital to the hope of the people. The leader of the Silent Order wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead. He had never faced such resistance before. He had always relied on fear and intimidation to get what he wanted, but these people were not afraid. They were united, determined, and willing to fight for what they believed in. He could hear the soft whimpers of the children clinging to their parents, the asterisk steady breathing of Mr. Abernathy, the asterisk quiet murmur asterisk of prayers. He could feel the weight of their gaze, the intensity of their determination. He knew that a fight would be costly and that it might not even be worth it. He could always find Alara later when she was alone and vulnerable. But right now, he was facing a united front, a community that was willing to defend her at all costs. The asterisk sound of a twig asterisk snapping asterisk underfoot made him jump. The tension was almost unbearable. He had to make a decision, and he had to make it now. The air hung heavy, charged with unspoken threats and simmering defiance. The standoff continued, each side waiting for the other to make the first move. The asterisk sound asterisk of silence was almost deafening. Finally, the leader of the Silent Order lowered his sword. His face was a mask of defeat. He had been so sure of his power, so confident in his ability to intimidate, but he had been wrong. These people were stronger than he had imagined. "This isn't over, Singer," he said, his voice low and menacing. We will find you, and when we do, you will regret this." He turned and strode back to his horse, his men following close behind. They mounted their horses and rode away, disappearing into the trees, the thud of their hooves fading into the distance. A collective sigh of relief swept through the wagon train. They had done it. They had stood up to the silent order and won. Alara was safe. Mr. Abernathy turned to Alara, his face beaming. "You see," he said, "there's strength in numbers. We may not be warriors, but we can protect each other." Sarah hugged Alara tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." Alara smiled, her heart overflowing with gratitude. She had never felt so loved, so accepted. These people had risked their lives for her, and she would never forget it. The asterisk sound of the children playing, the asterisk laughter of the adults, the neighing of the horses, all filled the clearing with a renewed sense of joy and hope. The wagon train had faced adversity, but they had emerged stronger, more united, and more determined than ever before. They had not only found their way out of the fog, but they had also found a new sense of community, a bond that would last a lifetime. They had learned the importance of standing up for what they believed in, the power of kindness, and the strength of unity. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting its warm glow over the clearing, Alara picked up her lute and began to sing. Her voice was still hoarse, but it was filled with even more emotion, more hope, and more joy than before. She sang of their journey through the fog, of their courage, their gratitude, and their newfound community. She sang of the power of music, the strength of the human spirit, and the promise of a brighter future. The asterisk sound of her song, a testament to their shared experience, echoed through the clearing, uniting them even further, solidifying their bond, and giving them the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They were no longer just a wagon train, they were a family. As the days turned into weeks, Alara continued to travel with the wagon train. She felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. She was no longer just a wandering singer. She was a part of something bigger, something meaningful. Her songs now were filled with even more hope and joy, reflecting the newfound sense of community and the promise of a brighter future. She sang of their shared journey, of their courage, their resilience, and their unwavering spirit. She sang of the beauty of the land, the warmth of the sun, and the promise of a new beginning. The asterisk sound of her music became the soundtrack of their journey, weaving its way into their lives, lifting their spirits and strengthening their bond. The children danced and sang along, their voices blending with Alara's in a joyful chorus. The adults hummed along as they worked, their faces etched with smiles. Even the horses seemed to move with a lighter step, their hooves keeping time with the rhythm asterisk of the music. Alara's songs also served as a reminder of the challenges they had overcome, the fear they had faced, and the strength they had found within themselves. They were a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could always be found, that kindness could always prevail, and that community could always triumph over adversity. The asterisk creak of the wagon wheels, the asterisk clip-clop of the horses' hooves, the asterisk laughter of the children, and the asterisk sound asterisk of Alara's singing, all blended together in a harmonious symphony, a testament to their shared journey and their unwavering bond. As they traveled westward, towards their new home, they knew that they could face any challenge, overcome any obstacle, as long as they had each other. They were a family, bound together by gratitude, courage, and the transformative power of music. And so the story ends not with a grand finale, but with a quiet, hopeful continuation. Alara's voice, once a haunting melody in the night, now soared with joy and optimism, forever intertwined with the rhythm asterisk of the wagon train, a constant reminder of the night they were lost in the fog and found their way home, not just to a place, but to each other. The asterisk sound of their journey, a beautiful and enduring melody, continued to echo through the land, a testament to the power of music, the strength of community, and the enduring spirit of hope.